Hello, my name is Ken Puidak, and I'm the broker in charge of First Class Real Estate Focal Point, located here in Greenville, South Carolina. Now, although we're located in Greenville, South Carolina, we actually serve all 46 counties in the state of South Carolina. We represent buyers and sellers of their homes, commercial property, and rental property, as well as a number of other items that we can talk about that are of interest to you. But my background, just briefly, is that I came to Greenville, South Carolina about 42 years ago, went to college at Bob Jones University, got an accounting degree, worked as a CPA for 22 years. I got tired of counting other people's beans during tax season while they're out playing golf in the middle of spring. So I got into running my own business, which was financial services, which led to being a full-time real estate broker here in South Carolina. And I've been doing that now for 20 years. My wife, Joellen, also serves with us. She's our buyer's representative agent for most of our clients here out of our Greenville office. I also hold an MBA from Clemson University and also have a Master's of Ministry from Greenville Presbyterian Theological Seminary. But you didn't come here to learn about me. I want to explain to you how I use that background, my business, and my sales and negotiation skills to help you take your home to market. So give me a few minutes of your time and we'll show you how we do that. Now, one of the things I always ask when I meet with a person that wants to sell their house, the first thing I want to know really is, where are you going to go? I mean, do you have another house already in mind? Are you moving in with somebody? Are you moving out of state? Where are you going to go? Because I'm not in the business of selling people's houses for the sake of selling houses. I want to sell the house so that you can meet your next goal, and whatever that is. I've sold vacant houses. I've sold houses with people in them. I've sold people from out of state, even out of the country. So we do have a vast amount of experience. In fact, I've been doing this for now almost 20 years. I've had over 400 personal transactions under my belt. Plus, we've appraised over 40,000 homes for about 30 different banks that we do that for over the last 20 years. So I ask, once I find out where you want to go and what you're going to do, what's the game plan? I ask three questions. And the first question I ask is, do you want the best price? Of course, the answer is yes. Who doesn't want the best price, right? Would you like to do this in the shortest amount of time? Well, of course. And do you like to be hassled? Well, no. I like to get the best price on my home in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. Does that sound a little bit like you as well? It probably does. Well, how do we do that? So one of the things I like to express is that we have a bigger market than particularly you do as an individual. Did you realize that 91% of all the homes that are sold in the United States, in the state of South Carolina, as well as Greenville County, 91% of those homes are sold by MLS realtors, or sold through the MLS. That means only 9% are transferred amongst people that you might know, like a family member, or you did it as a for sale by owner. Can you do it that way? Absolutely. But you stand a 9% chance of being successful. And what we found out is a lot of people just do it on their own. They say, this is much of a hassle. I don't want a hassle. So let's find somebody who can do this for the best price, who knows what the market is, in the shortest amount of time because he knows a lot of people, and with the least amount of hassle. I'm paying him or her to handle this transaction, and all I have to do is sit back and collect the check. And that be something that you would like to do? I hope so. Now, another way we say we have a bigger market is that we use an interactive digital brochure, and this becomes really important not only in the sign that we put out on the house. There's a code that goes to this link, but we also use it for our social media. So you'll see how much we do in social media here in a little bit. But that's very important, and people can interact with your property, keeps them interested. So that's a big deal with us here. But the main thing is that we need to get as many eyeballs on your property as possible. So we are in 7 multiple listings, Greenville, Anderson, Spartanburg, Columbia, Charleston, and Charlotte right now, plus a nationwide MLS called My State MLS that has over 50,000 different brokers who are looking at your property through what we offer. Most agencies don't go but maybe 1 or 2, and that's perfectly fine. However, particularly in our state, there's more people coming in than going out. So it's important that we do everything we possibly can to say, come look at my property, come look at your property. And we do that by getting into multiple listing. Why? Because 91% of the homes are sold that way. So doesn't take, you don't need an MBA to figure that one out. Okay, the ROI on that is excellent. All right, so we also believe as real estate brokers that we have a better market. The reason why I say better is because of these couple things here. So one, we have an international reach. The MLSs that we have, as well as some other advertising that we do, is syndicated around the entire world. In fact, my furthest away client was 12,000 miles. Another one was on the other side of the world, about 8,000 miles away when they bought the property. So we do reach people internationally, coming here to Greenville of all places. We do have, we've been collecting qualified buyers in our database. We have over 5,000 of them. We've been qualifying for several years now. But being a part of First Class Real Estate, it is a franchise. It's a nationwide franchise. We have over 100 brokers. So we have a broker-to-broker referral network that we do nationwide. In fact, about 45% of our Greenville business was done by people coming in from out of state that were referred to us by our own broker network. So we really put a lot of stock into that. In our social media, everybody's curious about social media. They have been for a long time, and that's fine. However, just bear in mind, it's just a commercial that everybody sees, all right? So when we list your house, there's over 1 million people in our social media contacts that are seeing your property every week. That's a lot of eyeballs. Now, obviously, we only need one to actually put a good offer on your property. So the other 999,000 people are, it's noise to them, all right? However, we're looking for the one, so we got to start with a big pile and work our way down, all right? Now, I also mentioned we have an interactive digital property presentation. What we do is we take the pictures of your house, and we use AI technology to create the compelling narrative. We have music, and we have videos, and we have all sorts of stuff that keep people attracted. And this is like a little electronic flip book. You've probably seen something like this before. And so this is what's being advertised in the social media. It's really catchy. You're probably to have its own website through our CRM system. So anybody that comes to the website says, I want to see more, we capture their information, pass them on to our buyer's agents who go after and try to bring those people to bear on your property. And so that's a really excellent thing that most people don't do. Why? It costs money. And so I invest in the best services I possibly can to help get your property sold. And that's why we've been successful over these 20 years staying in business full-time as realtors. Also, we're licensed and insured, so just like the big firms, we're a medium-sized firm, but just like the big firms, we have insurance. Be surprised the number of agents, number of brokerages, large brokerages don't even have insurance; they're self-insured. But we are licensed and insured, so that should give you some peace and comfort that if something were to go wrong, and in 20 years nothing has, so we have some financial stability to take care of any potential problems that we may have. Hopefully not. Also, we believe we have greater know-how. Like I say, I've been in the business now. This is my 19th year, going on 20 years. I got more certifications than I got room on this slide, to be frank with you. So I just pulled up 3. First of all, we're in the business of managing the buyer's experience. We got to get inside the head of the buyer. What are they looking for? That's how we present our MLS compelling sales narratives, all that stuff. Why would that house be important to a potential buyer? And then once they get to the property, we make it easier for them to get into the property, them and their agent. We have 24/7 appointment center to set up the appointments for them so we don't lose potential appointments, that sort of thing. And then help you stage the house so when they walk in the front door or whatever door is the best way to walk in, what they experience is something really simple. The whole idea of making money is making it easy for buyers to buy from you, okay? Now that you learn that in MBA school, but it doesn't take, again, an MBA to figure that out, all right? The easier you make it, the easier it is for you to sell the property in the shortest amount of time with the most amount of money. Now, one of the things that we bring to the table is our negotiation skills. I am a business person who got into sales, got into real estate. And so I've been fairly successful. And part of that is negotiating. And you negotiate from a standpoint that you understand what's going on in the buyer's mind. Try to find out what's going on with that particular buyer, question them, do whatever you can legitimately, find out what makes them tick on your property. And that's when we use that in negotiating with them. You'll find if you do business with us, you'll see this. It's kind of hard to explain because it's a soft skill, but it's almost like you have to experience. We're also certified listing professionals. All of our agents are. It's required in the firm. Be a certified listing professional, and that helps us give you a smooth transaction. So we will take you from A to Z in the entire transaction. We handle everything in-house, and we will tell you as much as you want to know what's the next step, what's the next step, all the way through closing, handing over the keys, signing over the deed, collecting your check, which of course is why we do this, so that you can collect your check. And when you collect your check, guess what? The firm's fee gets paid too. And thank you very much. All right, so one of the questions that sellers have, and I'll ask you this question. This is, what is the real estate broker's job? I mean, what do you think the real estate broker's job is? Most people, if you probably said this yourself, but most people say, is to sell my house. So what is the agent's job? It's not really to sell your house. Now, I know that's a little shocking, but when we sell your house, that's the result of our job. What our job is to test the market. And what we are as realtors are professional market analysts. And we analyze what the market's doing in a particular area, in your price range, your size home, and all that stuff. And we take all that data and we analyze it to figure out, okay, this is probably the range that it's probably going to sell in. It ain't going to sell this high, and it's probably not going to sell this low, but somewhere in there. And we also can know probability, how fast it might sell too. Okay, that again, this is where the MBA part kicks in, because the data analysis and the probability predictions and all that kind of stuff is something you kind of learn in business school. So the main thing is, though, and everybody harps on this, why? Because it's true. Okay, you have to price it competitively. And when I mean competitively, I'm not saying, oh, you got to give the place away in order to sell it tomorrow. Well, if you did that, you might sell it tomorrow, but then again, you might not. So let's just say, if you're like typical, a lot of sellers out there, they're probably thinking that the house is worth more than probably what the buyers are. Okay, that's natural. That's called economics. It's called Adam Smith. Okay, there's buyers out there and sellers, and they have to come to a meeting of the mind. Now, if your minds are so far apart and you don't come together, well, that's a problem. You're not going to have a transaction, and your goal is to have a transaction. Okay. Now, you can price your house really high, let's say 15% above the market price, and only 1 out of 10 potential buyers that are looking in that house will actually pay it any attention. Okay, do more than just flip through. They say, "Oh, I like that house. I like that house." My goodness, where'd that price come from? Well, they got gold faucets in the kitchen or something like that. But then, let's say, maybe you're one of those clients, and it happens from time to time. You say, "Man, I got to get rid of this thing tomorrow, man. It's like it's albatross. It's, I inherited this thing. It's falling apart. I should have done this 5 years ago." I've had a house like that, and I got a good deal on it when I bought it too. You'll actually have a lot of people look at it, but you're probably not going to have a lot of offers. Why? Because 60% of the market are people that want to buy a house that they can move into. Okay, if you price it too low, people are automatically going to think, what? Something wrong with it, right? And I don't want to fix nothing. And today's young people, they don't know how to fix anything, all right? It seems like. Now, many of them do, but most of them just want to just move right in the house. Who wants the headache? I don't want the headache. I, as a buyer, want a smooth transaction as much as you, the seller, wants to give me a smooth transaction. So it's important that we price the property in what we would say the market value range. And that's not an exact price. Anybody tells you it's going to sell for an exact price, you can already tell they do not know anything about market analysis. Okay, so there's 3 things that we do when we do a market analysis. It's very similar to what a lot of other agents that you might have met have done as well. However, we do things a little differently. First of all, we're going to look at the expired properties. So there's a whole bunch of houses in the market, in the MLS, that didn't sell. We call those market rejects. Okay, either they're priced too high, priced too low. the seller was being unreasonable, the buyer was being unreasonable. Something happened where that property sat on the market probably for 6 months or more and nobody bought it. Okay? Generally, it's because the price is too high. It's not always the case, but most of the time it is. So we're going to look at the expired properties, what the market rejected. And that's kind of cool. Set our ceiling price. Okay, we don't want to go above that price because we'll probably be, market reject as well. Nobody wants that. The next thing we do is we look at the sold properties. Now, everybody looks at the sold properties. I mean, every agent out there says, it seems like they say, hey, let's just market it, price it according to the sold properties. Well, the problem is the sold properties, you're looking at maybe 6 or 12 months worth of sold activity, they're only indicative of the value. So they kind of narrow it down to what's more prices more recent. But I'm telling you, sold properties are not where you want to peg your price. Okay. Now remember I said the word competitively before? Well, this is where we're really looking at. We spend more time and more activity looking at these active properties. Why? Because they're your immediate competition. Okay. If you've ever been out with a real estate agent before, and maybe you were out with me or my wife Joellen, have we ever or have they ever taken you into a house that was already sold? No. Okay, if they did that, it would be called breaking and entering and could get you into a lot of trouble. Who knows how many years in jail. Okay, the only houses that can be sold to you as a buyer are the ones that are actively available on the market. Those are called your active properties. Okay, so it doesn't matter that all the properties that were sold in the last 6 months were X amount of dollars on average. If all the competition is higher, who cares about the sold properties? I'm looking at the active properties, so I want to compete with those who I'm in current competition with, those who are selling their house to now. Does that make sense? I hope so, because that's the way we do business. In fact, if you want to price your house too high, or if you want to price it too low, I suggest looking at another brokerage, because we just won't do that. Why? Because we work on a contingency fee, and most brokerages do. We get paid when the property closes. Okay, and I put a lot of money, and people put a lot of money into advertising your property, and we're not going to put a lot of money or a lot of effort into advertising a property. We know it just isn't going to sell, and you wouldn't do that either. Okay, if you're stuck on too high or too low, chances are you probably need to go someplace else. Okay, all right. How do we do a market analysis? What's the nuts and bolts? Well, this is an Excel spreadsheet that I put together a while back. And basically, you can see at the top there, those are your solds, the indicators of value. This is the properties that are similar to yours in price and size, square footage, age, with some adjustments. These are what we would call, would have been your competitors over the last 6-12 months, okay? And so what we do, we come up with an average, a high, and a low price. You can see there in the middle on those sold comps, and that kind of gives us a high and a low range and an average range. In this case, the average is $318.23, and what we do is we multiply that times the square footage of the subject property and extend it out, and in this case it extends out to $997,000 and change. Now we also look at other things. We have a desktop appraisal that we do in-house, very similar to an appraiser would do a HELOC if you're getting a bank loan. We consult all the tax compensation, tax comps that are out there. Go to the typical Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin. Go to those and see what they're saying. Why are we going to those? Okay, they don't really do that good of a job in analyzing, but that's what the buyers are seeing. So it's very important to us that we know what the buyers are seeing. So if the buyers are seeing on Zillow $1.192 million, well, that's higher than our average. We may want to consider, going a little bit higher than a little bit lower. All right, in this particular, so it gives us some wiggle room. But all we're doing is come up with a statistical analysis of what is the house going to sell within 95% confidence level. Again, there's the NBA stuff. Okay, so if we take the average of 997 and we subtract what we call the standard deviation, that means the average is going to be $102,000 lower, or that $895 you see in the green box. or $102,000 higher, which is $1.1 million. So plus or minus the average, half the standard deviation plus or minus the average, is going to be the price range that we generally should expect this house to sell. Now we also show you the competition. So if we're looking at the square foot range, like the average, the 318 in the green box, and we look to see what others are selling, you said, oh, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good range. So 318 to about 340-ish is probably going to sell the house in a reasonable period of time. Now this house, in the subject property, did have some wear and tear. Just basically to take care of the house and all that. Well, it wasn't falling apart, but it needed some tender loving care. And $1 million person was going to put $150,000 just to paint and who knows what, some carpeting and things like that, the fancy stuff. Well, anyway, so we listed that property for $1,050,000. So smack dab in the middle, we got $975,000 for it, and we sold that in about 6 weeks. And the reason why I say that is if you look at the bottom here, I give a probability of sale. So 6 weeks is what? 6 times 7 is 42 days. All right, so what it says, we have an analysis that shows us when the houses are selling, and then we try to figure out how many days it would take. If you look at the break-even days, the red number is 76. That's the number of days that it takes to break even, meaning that when we when the property sells, if it sells before 76 days, that's good. Okay, that tells us that we're in a seller's market and you got it, and the seller took control. If it takes more than 76 days, then the buyer's probably in control because it's taking a little bit too long. Okay, and so we sold that in about somewhere between 6 and 7 weeks, I think. So we sold in about 45 to 50 days. And so we were right on the money on that one as well. So this is the analysis that we go through to help price the house. Not every house can we do all of this, but we try to do as much as we possibly can with the data that's available. Okay. Well, again, my name is Ken Kwidak, and I want to thank you for taking your time on this presentation. I really look forward to hopefully being able to help you sometime in the future to sell and possibly even help you buy another property if it's in the state of South Carolina. Feel free to call me or text me at my number there, or you can email me or just go to our website and contact me through there, or you can just stop by the office. I'm not always in the office, usually out serving client, but you can come by the office if you like. I mean, you can send me emails, call me on a cell phone, send me a text, send me snail mail, even a carrier pigeon, but I want to help you, okay? And you think the carrying pigeon's funny? It happened once before, okay? So some smart person who's a hunter decided to send me a bird. I never made it, but it tried. Anyway, get a hold of me. I really want to be able to help you. If I can't help you, I'll be glad to tell you I can't. But, I have a pretty good track record of being able to help just about anybody who really wants to sell their property for the most amount of money in the least amount of time and with the least amount of hassle. And that is first-class real estate, Focal Point. Thank you.